Hey guys, Victor here, coming at you again with another Tearlament deck profile. And as always, this is going to be for the Synchro variant of the deck instead of the, average cookie cutter exceed heavy variant with like Bahamut Sharks and Toads that you guys are seeing pretty much all across the metagame. Because on this channel, we try to innovate as much as possible and just try out different things that are different from the actual norm in order to see what does and what doesn't work. And sometimes it works really well. Sometimes you just break horribly. And that's okay. It's a learning experience. We go from it. And compared to the last version, I've basically just increased the consistency to help make our hands a lot more powerful, I guess, whether we're going first or second. So with that out of the way, let's just jump straight into the deck profile. Now, as always, we're going to be starting the deck profile off using the monster lineup. And for that, we're going to be playing 3 Tearlaments Kashtira, 2 Tearlaments Reinoheart. As I always say, if you play 3, that means you're playing Bahamut Toad, but you can play 3 even without it, just if you want to have to like maximize the amount of tiers that you can draw, but 2 is perfectly fine for what you need to do. And then you have the Tearlaments merlli, the Tearlaments Havnis, and the Tearlaments Scheiren, all pretty standard so far. And to go with that, we also have the Ishizu monsters, of course, being Keldo, Mudora, Agido, and Kelbek. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Pretty straightforward. They're pretty much like going to be your auto win and your grind game buttons. So very good cards. Should not exist, but hey, we play with them while we have them, And then to go with that, we're going to be playing 2 Kashtira Fenrir. So this is a card that I've always wanted to fit into the Synchro variant just because it meshes really well with Revolution Synchron, as you special summon the Fenrir, you add the Tearlaments Kashtira, you normal summon your tuners if you have them, whether it's like Revolution Synchron or Jet Synchron, whatever. You Synchro, this card goes to the grave, and then you have automatic fodder for your Tearlaments Kashtira to activate. And even if you don't do all that, it's still just a very imposing body to leave on the field, whether you're going first or second. So yeah, I just really wanted to take advantage of that, and I feel like this is probably the best variant to do it with, just because of like the synchro synergy and all that kind of stuff. And then another 2 that we're playing, just 2 Destiny Hero Malicious. We're not going to be playing Destiny Hero Denier in this, just because, like I said, I wanted to maximize the consistency of the deck, and you can't really do that with a card like Denier, just because if you dead draw it, while it's not like the end of the world, it doesn't help you like advance your game plan, right? As opposed to just like the double Malicious, where it's pretty much always going to lead into like a dangerous combo, or even without the dangerous, you can do cards or combos such as like Jet Synchron, discard Malicious effect, bring back, or summon one from the deck, make a level 7, then just continue to climb from there. And plus, I'm going to be honest, it's very, very easy to make another additional level 6 in addition to the Malicious, which means that even though we're not playing the Denier, Beatrice is still very accessible to us. So yeah, just something to keep in mind with that. And then we just have a bunch of one-of cards. So we're playing 1 Destrudo, 1 Jet Synchron, 1 Revolution Synchron. So traditionally, I'd be playing 3 of this and just max it out because, like I said, the ideal behind the deck is to get a level 7 monster out on the field, whether it's Tearlaments, Fenrir, or something that I'm going to show off in a bit. And then normal summon the Revolution Synchron so you can make Baron to floor pretty much immediately. And then off of that alone, you have your graveyard filled up. You have a Revolution Synchron that can come back and mill a card, and things can just really spiral out of control. But instead, I opted to take the approach with Diviner of the Herald, where you're milling so many cards already that at some point you're going to hit the Revolution Synchron into the grave. And worst case scenario, you're going to be able to get to Beatrice, which will in turn dump that. But that's like if you're really, really desperate, you honestly don't even need to do that. Because like I said, you're already milling half your deck a lot of the time, and Revolution Synchron is probably going to be one of those cards in there. And then we have additional ways to bring it back too, right? So it can bring itself back after you've Synchro summoned with cards like Destrudo or Jet Synchron. You can bring it back with Cross Sheep. There's just so many different ways to go about bringing this card onto the field that sometimes 3 is just unnecessary and 1 is just the perfect number. So I decided to go with 1, and so far it's been working out pretty well. And then after that, we play 1 Beastking of the Swamps, just because I like making Rokolos. I know not everyone does. A lot of people have dropped it, but I know I still love the card, so I have to play at least 1 King of the Swamps to be able to make it. And then for the final monster, Diabellestar the Black Witch, we are still playing the Diabellestar engine, just because, it gets to your Snake Eyes, which in turn gets you to Jet Synchron a lot more quickly. It's just a really cool engine in the graveyard too, just because it gives you an additional draw by banishing the Wanteds and then setting the Snake Eyes to the bottom of the deck. There's just a lot of really cool things that you can do, and it's a level 7, like I said. So you special summon this, normal Revolution Synchron, and you pretty much have a Baron on the field that will allow you to combo off as hard as you want. And with that, that's the monster lineup, and now we can move on to the spell and trap portion of the deck. Now, as is tradition with like the spells and trap portion of the deck, it's going to be basically just a bunch of 3-ofs that you want to max out on to help the deck be as consistent as possible. and break as many boards as possible. So as a result, we're playing 3 Primeval Planet Perlereino. Card does literally everything for the deck. It searches, it boosts your monsters, it pops cards on the field for some reason. Card is just phenomenal. And then to go with our Primeval Planet, we're going to be playing 3 Tearlaments Scheiren. Another fantastic card, you know, and with how popular Drone Lockbird is in the format, I feel like you have to play 3 Scheiren because this is going to be one of the main cards that allows you to be resilient against your opponents that do end up, you know, drolling you, just because it allows you to play during your turn. And then if your hand is pretty mediocre or your mills are pretty meh, you can try the exact same thing during your opponent's turn. So yeah, this card is really good at 3 right now. I know some people play 2, and that's honestly perfectly fine as well, but I just feel like 3 is the way to go as of right now. And then to help us break boards more easily, we're playing 3 Super Polymerization. We pretty much play Super Poly targets for everything, and this card is just phenomenal, helping you break boards no matter what the matchup is. Infernoble, as long as you can bait out the Angelica, Mannadium, Fire King, shoot a Perley, it doesn't matter. This card can be used in some shape or form in pretty much every single matchup, and in a lot of cases it is really like an auto win button, especially if you go super poly ditch like Kelbek or Agido or Trivikarma or anything like that. The card, super good. And then for the final 3 we're going to be playing 3 Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. What can I say? This is just to help us search out for the Diabellestar, which in turn gets our Synchro engine going. Just make sure that when you do use this, you use it during the draw phase so that you do end up playing around like Drone Lockbird, just because it's a quick effect, you know, might as well take advantage of that. And then in addition to being able to search for the Diabellestar, it's able to recycle your sinful spoil spells and traps from the grave to allow you to draw a card. So that's pretty good. And then the one sinful spoil spell that we're playing is Snake Eye. The only target that you can summon off of this is Jet Synchron, but that's all we need if I'm being brutally honest. And yeah, card just good. It helps get your Synchro engine going, and you can, and even then, like, it's a fine card to like discard or just mill for like your past, if you're like past turn 1 or turn 2, right? Because as long as you have one of these and 1 Wanted in the graveyard, you're going to be able to draw a card. Then the other spells: 1 Tearlaments Grief, 1 Foolish Burial Goods, and 1 Foolish Burial. And then that's it for the spells. Pretty straightforward, not much like anything interesting happening right then and there. And then for the traps as well, you know, 2 Tearlaments Sulliek and 1 Trivikarma. Pretty straightforward. And with that, that's the spells and traps, and now we can finally move on to the extra deck. Now the extra deck for this version of Tearlament is honestly super tight, but I feel like everything in this extra deck is pretty much perfect at accomplishing the goal that we want it to accomplish, you know. So as a result, we're playing the 1 Cross Sheep, grind game, boost your monster's attack, lower your opponent's monster's attack. It pretty much does everything. Then the only other link that we play is SP Little Knight. Card's broken. If you're not playing it, you should be. Simple as that. And then we have a couple of Exceeds, just 2 of them, one being Time Thief Redoer. This is probably like the biggest option that you can change, but I don't know. I just think Time Thief Redoer is so good at helping you trigger your own cards. The only thing that I would consider replacing it for is maybe a Baguska or an Abyss Dweller, you know, just to help you mitigate your hands that are pretty awful. But I don't know. I think Time Thief Redoer is probably the best in like a generic sense. And then you should probably just like side the others for like specific matchups. And then for the other Exceed, you play the 1 Beatrice, Lady of the Eternal. As I said earlier, even though we are not playing the Denier, having 2 6s on the board is still incredibly easy, especially post side when you put in your Bestials for like your dark and light matchups or whatever. So it's not really very difficult. And there's still like a bunch of other plays that you can do to get level 6s on the board, right? It's very easy to get multiple Tearlament monsters on the field to make Garura. You can go Special Summon Revolution or Jet Synchron, copy one of those with Destrudo to make Destrudo level 6, and then overlay for Malicious, or with Malicious into Beatrice. You still play cards like Destiny Hero Dangerous for another additional level 6. Like, you have options, okay? And it's still very easy to make in this deck. And that's it for the Exceeds. And then for Synchros, you play the 1 Ancient Fairy Dragon, the 1 Visas Amritara, the 1 Cyframe Lord Omega. This is probably also another one of the biggest flex options. This can be pretty much any level 8 or 7 Synchro monster. There's a couple of really good ones, like the you can play FA Dawn Dragster. You have Drageye if you want to play like level 8s in a gate with a Water in the Grave, which you have plenty of in the form of like Reinoheart or Tearlaments Kashtira. But I just really like Omega for the fact that it can recycle your Shizu Shufflers and it rips a card out of your opponent's hand, which can be game ending in a lot of situations. And then for the final Synchro, of course, you're playing the 1 Baron de Flor. And that's it for the Synchro monsters. And then for the fusions, you play the 1 Destiny Hero Dangerous, basically an auto Beatrice button. Mud Dragon of the Swamp for Super Poly, Garura for Super Poly, Dragostapelia. Even though I guess it is technically for Super Poly, you're typically going to make this during your own turn on when you're fusing with like a used fusion monster and one of your Tailman monsters. And then for the final Super Poly target, we play the 1 Dragon Knight Draco Request, just because I hate Vanadium and those types of decks that pretty much go Baron, Dragon, and try to either Calamities you or just full combo you out of the game. So yeah, you gotta play this with a Super Poly just to punish those players. Then lastly, we play 1 Kaleidoheart, and to go with the Kaleidoheart, we play the 1 Tearlaments Rokolos. So with that, that's the Tearlament deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya!